When I think about for the sake of others, one of the experiences I've been able to have is in Nicaragua. We took a team this past June and we were going into a community to build a house alongside a family. We got the bio for one of the families and in it told us who they were, and a few weeks later there was an earthquake and one of the other families, who was about 4 or 5 families down on the list, their house was actually destroyed. And this family who was next, they laid down their opportunity to get their home and said, no, we want our neighbor, Coquito, to have this home, to have her home built next. And that was really cool. That was the setting we were going into, is knowing like, wow, this family is laying, they've been working hard and been dreaming of having this new home, and they actually gave that up for one of their neighbors. And when we actually got to go to the community, Ali Monal, and see what they were doing there and the work these ladies were doing, literally backbreaking work, carrying bricks, mixing cement to help build each other's homes. And it was truly an example of when Jesus washed his disciples' feet. It was amazing to see the women in this community wash the feet of their neighbors, and the families in that community literally laying their lives down for each other and giving up of their own desires and wants and needs to serve each other. And that was really cool to see. Last year in March, I took a small team down and we went to evaluate a potential partnership in El Salvador. And one of the stories that stuck out was of a young lady named Iris. And Iris lived in a neighboring village to the one we were initially visiting. So it was about an 1.5-hour walk. And Iris every week would come for the training lessons that they were doing. And it was amazing to meet this young woman who had so much ambition for her community, not just for herself and bettering herself, but she had a lot of passion for her community. And so she actually went to the trainers in this village and said, hey, I've been walking, coming to these trainings the past year, and said, I want this for my community. And what's really cool is through our Because It's Worth It campaign, we've been able to actually support women trainers in El Salvador to do the work that they're doing and help better their communities. And Iris is actually one of those trainers now that we support. And so it was really cool to see that this woman who sacrificed and really advocated for her community to be better, and for the women in her community to get the training that they needed to be able to help their families come out of poverty, to now be one of those women that is training others. We were doing some training with a group of pastors and leaders from South Sudan, and one of those in particular that stuck out to me is Pastor Francis. He is a gentleman that is actually living in a refugee camp right now in Uganda, and he told me a story that really stuck with me. He said that a lot of people in his country and continent of Africa, they're like a stalled car without a starter. What they need is they need someone to come behind them, give a little bit of a push start, but once they get going, no one's gonna stop them. And that actually gave me a lot of hope and excitement. It reminded me of the reason of why we help others, in order to help empower them, allow the Holy Spirit to empower them to make the changes in their community that are gonna bring God glory, that are gonna see people come out of poverty, that are gonna see families become whole and war-torn nations have peace.